Trey, you may be known as Reverend Hammond or Reverend Trey to others, but to me, you'll always be my big brother. As the younger of your two little sisters, Cindy and Virginia, I've always looked up to you and been very proud of you. Your leadership skills began to show at a very early age. Some of my fondest childhood memories look like a scene from a movie. It's the 1960s and the neighborhood kids are running around outside all day and into the evening. Our group included you, me, our sister Cindy, and most of the kids on the block. You were the oldest. You were the leader, the babysitter, the teacher, the coach, the medic, and so much more. You led us through water balloon fights, horse apple battles, long bike rides around the neighborhood, and many kinds of games. With you, we discovered frisbees, skateboards, and the joy of chasing fireflies on a warm night. Growing up, you were an excellent student, always bright and passionate about learning. Following you in school could have been difficult, but it wasn't. It just made me a better student because more was expected of me. The first day of many of my school years started with the inevitable roll call of Hammond. Hammond? Trey Hammond's little sister? And then a smile. Your teachers' expectations and our parents were fulfilled many times over. You had excellent grades, you earned awards and science fairs, you earned scholarships, and multiple degrees in a variety of subjects. You always excelled. And then you jumped into your career, where you were a minister and a community organizer, an advocate, an activist, an academic, a theologian, and much more. Your work has left lasting effect on many communities. In Dallas, you worked at several congregations, and you even started Uncle Calvin's Coffee House, a musical venue that has lasted for decades and is known by musicians all over the state of Texas. You moved to Louisville and worked for the National Presbyterian Church, where your contributions to urban ministry had a ripple effect across the country. And then you settled in Albuquerque, where your work at Mesa and for the community as a whole has touched many lives in a very meaningful way. You were always in motion, always doing good things, creating change, helping others. Of course, there is another side of you, the one with the really goofy sense of humor. From introducing us to Mad Magazine, to our annual watching of The Grinch, the animated version of course, to your infamous Easter Bunny costumes, like the Darth Vader one. You laughed at yourself more than any of the rest of us, but we all loved it. And my kids loved their Uncle Trey, even if you did make them call you the greatest. My family, your family, is so happy for you to begin this new chapter in your life. Hopefully you'll have time to fish and enjoy nature, maybe to write, dabble in photography, and when things calm down, you can visit family and friends. Bill and I look forward to you coming to see us in Texas, but we are more eager to come see you in New Mexico so you can show us around the beautiful area that you have grown to love. Trey, you may be retiring, but I doubt that you'll be slowing down. I am certain that the work you've done will leave a lasting legacy, just like Uncle Calvin's. You have improved lives, lifted up communities. Simply put, you have made the world a better place. Enjoy this time because you have earned it. From your little sister, Ginia, to her big brother, Bobo, I love you, I'm proud of you, and I hope to see you soon.
Friends and fans gathered for this bittersweet occasion of Trey Hammond's retirement from La Mesa Presbyterian. My name is Lori Pister, and I bring you greetings from Durham, North Carolina, and from a few decades back when Trey and I first met and worked together in Dallas, starting in the early 80s. Trey was a relatively new associate pastor at North Park Presbyterian when we met at a party at a home of one of my college friends who he was dating. Barely into ordained ministry, Trey was already helping to establish Uncle Calvin's, the coffee and music emporium that 38 years later is still a unique hotspot. About the same time, Trey was engaging in significant efforts of serving the homeless population. I got to watch Trey's determination and perseverance up close as we worked together on the expansion of a transitional housing ministry. At some point, probably during one of those contentious board meetings when Trey had to do some assertive truth-telling, I realized he resembled commercials of a burgeoning cinema superhero. How many of you remember Sylvester Stallone breaking onto the scene as Rambo, with a similar frock of dark hair, but not the headband or sleeveless muscle shirt? Trey was like a non-violent Rambo, hell-bent on justice. How could I not begin to call him Revbo? As has continued to be true throughout his ministries, Trey's Revbo passion and unabated work have been bringing people together, caring for one another, for their communities, and as church finding ways to radically live out concern for the poor and the marginalized. For a year before I headed to seminary, I worked on staff at Trinity Presbyterian, where Trey was pastor. Again, I watched as he taught and led the congregation and engaged the wider community. Whether preaching provocative sermons or appearing in his Hawaiian-shirted Easter bunny costume, Trey's penchant for drawing people of all ages and walks of life into important conversations and joyful interactions was simply at the core of his being. In 2015, Trey was named as one of McCormick Seminary's distinguished alumni. Trey was chosen, quote, for his relentless work alongside homeless, poor, and disenfranchised people, and his belief that the church exists for others. Reverend Hammond models a shepherd's love for his congregation and a prophet's hunger for social transformation. Amen. As you all well know, Trey's immense abilities are wrapped in his consistent inquisitiveness, breadth of knowledge, depth of faith, and mischievous laughter. Rev Bo, thanks for the miles and memories we share thus far, for being mentor and model, and the real deal ways you have made an immense impact on so many lives, mine included. It will be fun to see where the Spirit now whisks you. See you at the Lagunas.
Hello, I'm Ed Gonzalez, a member of North Park Presbyterian Church from the days when Trey Hammond was a much beloved assistant pastor there from September 1982 through 1987. Trey had a way of encouraging and challenging his congregation, whether it was organizing the annual 10-mile heifer hike to raise funds and awareness for Heifer Project International, youth mission trips and youth hikes in Colorado that included one time a 4-day horseback trip that culminated in everyone climbing the 13,000-foot West Spanish Peak, a first for all of us except for Trey. He got the church to buy their first van for youth trips and for transportation of elderly members. His sermons were profound and unique, incorporating theologians such as Kierkegaard, Tillich, and Buechner, including elements of Celtic Christianity, even using the Grinch from Dr. Seuss as a sermon illustration. Trey put his faith into action, involving North Park Church in shelter and homeless projects such as the Downtown Dallas Family Shelter and Dallas Interfaith Housing. Trey put his love of music, song, poetry, and community into action by sharing his dream of a weekly coffee house venue in the Church Fellowship Hall, convincing North Park to sponsor and support this folk music coffee house idea. The nightclub scene in Dallas in the early 80s was thriving with urban cowboy and disco bars. Trey saw a need for a laid-back acoustical stage where folks could appreciate music, where people could be in something of a caring context and be part of a community who could enjoy music and entertainment in an informal environment, a throwback to the coffee houses of the 1960s. The coffee house known as Uncle Calvin's Coffee House was born in Trey's third month at North Park in 1982 and has grown to be one of the best listening rooms for up-and-coming performers and nationally known touring singer-songwriters. Artists include 4-time Grammy nominees, Trout Fishing in America, Prairie Home Companion regulars Robin and Linda Williams, and the original Dixie Chicks, then a cowgirl band, in 1989 and 1990. Alt-country songwriter Ray Wiley Hubbard put it this way: "It's the only place I've ever played that isn't God forsaken." I want to express the gratitude and thanks from the many folks who have loved and enjoyed the coffee house. May God continue to bless you, Trey, and keep watch over you.
Hi, I'm Jan Miller, and I am an old friend of Trey's, a member of his congregation in Dallas. I remember him from the first sermon he gave in 1987, where he talked about our church being a light on the hill, and he came to make it brighter and better, which he did. He took the aging congregation, again, inner city Dallas, with all the problems that the inner city always faces, it seems, and he molded us into a working group of volunteers that accomplished more than any group I've ever known. He took 4 old men, our big project. He took 4 old men that liked to work. He got an attorney, a realtor, and we bought a 4 or 8 unit apartment house where we could take single moms out of shelters downtown and bring them where they could have a home that was completely refurbished, completely refinished, and furnished with everything from dishes to linens. They would get to take that home with them to their new home, and they would have saved, by the time they left us, deposit money for that new place. We all work together to help and serve the community. I'm sure that you all have enjoyed that same kind of experience with Trey. And I want to add to make that project possible, Trey got the Dixie Chicks to come in and sing a concert. That drew a good crowd. He also had us working with AA, Boy Scouts, mentally ill. You name it, we were doing it. And he organized it all. So thank you, Trey. I think you still are a miracle worker. And I hope the La Mesa congregation enjoys the cross from our old church, Trinity, for a long, long time. Good luck in retirement.
My name is D.P. Smith, and I worked with Trey Hammond in Dallas a number of years ago, and recognizing his alleged retirement, I want to recap some of the work that he did, where he led me and many others on some pretty amazing adventures. I first met Trey when he was on the board of the Greater Dallas Community of Churches in about 1985, when Dallas, like a lot of big cities, was experiencing a tremendous increase in its homeless population. And we were especially challenged with a lot of homeless families, little kids actually living on the streets. And while the church community and others were speculating and debating on what could be done to help resolve some of those issues, the city of Dallas unexpectedly contacted the Greater Dallas Community of Churches, and Trey was the chairperson of the housing committee at the time, with a proposition. The proposition was very simple. We have a building for you, and we want you to develop a plan and a program and operate a family shelter. Thank you very much. And that was pretty much the end of it. So starting from zero, Trey and another Presbyterian minister and I essentially scratched around and forged a coalition with 7 churches to come together to try to figure out what in the world we would do with this grotesquely ill-suited building for shelter purposes. Old industrial building, concrete walls, no windows, and a 3-story open elevator shaft in the middle. But all those challenges and many others included, we were actually able in less than a year with Trey's leadership, helping us understand what needed to happen and more fundamentally, why we would even be doing what we're doing to develop a plan, a program, and open a shelter in less than a year with a handful of volunteers and I think a couple of paid staff people. And we called it the Downtown Dallas Family Shelter. For years on the Family Gateway letterhead, among other things, it said Trey Hammond, founding facilitator. And I think that's a great descriptor of what Trey's done with his ministry through the years. At the same time, roughly, a neighboring Presbyterian church decided to shut down, and Trey spearheaded the merger of that congregation, Wynwood Presbyterian Church, into Trinity Presbyterian Church, which was our church at the time. With that merger came a very large building with a lot of different aspects and features and several acres of property, almost all of which was surrounded by commercial development. Grace Presbytery and the church itself decided that it was probably a wise move to sell that property. It was in fact sold to a private, faith-based, non-denominational charter school that continues to this day providing good educational opportunities for disadvantaged kids in that neighborhood. All of this is just indicative of the things that all of you have seen Trey do throughout the rest of his ministry, before, during, and after his tenure here in North Texas. Trey, I wish you the very best in your retirement, your alleged retirement. God bless, and I hope to see you soon.
Greetings, I am Phil Tom. I know Trey as a seminary classmate, as a colleague working with the General Assembly Urban Ministry Office, as passionate advocates and organizers for ministry in the city, and most of all, as a great friend. During the past 40 years, Trey has worked passionately and tirelessly at various levels to engage and support ministry in the city. Trey has served as a faithful pastor in Dallas, Texas, and with you, the Mesa Presbyterian Church family. Trey served as a community leader to develop affordable housing in Dallas, and with the Albuquerque Interfaith to address issues of homelessness and other community issues. Trey worked at the National Presbyterian Church Urban Ministry Office, providing support for urban pastors and urban presbyteries through various training programs, such as organizing National Urban Ministry Conference in San Francisco. Trey worked with the Presbyterian Hunger Program to provide funding for community organizing, and he worked with the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America to provide community organizing training for Presbyterian and Lutheran pastors and lay leaders. Trey worked with our Presbyterian seminaries to challenge our seminaries to offer urban ministry training programs and to encourage seminarians to consider urban ministry a worthy vocation. Trey does not seek attention for his ministry. Still, Trey was rightfully honored by McCormick Seminary several years ago with his Alumni Award for Trey's dedication, passion, and faithfulness for his ministry in and with the city. It is a difficult and challenging time for Presbyterian Church ministering in and with the city, as many of them have closed their doors. I know that Trey will continue to fight for and advocate for our Presbyterian Church at the national and local level, to stay in the city, to stand firm, and to work for peace and justice with our brothers and sisters in the city, and for your Albuquerque community. Enjoy your retirement. And I hope that you will be open to God's Spirit as God continues to bless you to whatever God calls you next in your journey. Take care, my friend.
Hi, I'm Tim Keller, Mayor of Albuquerque, and it is with some sadness but also great joy that I celebrate Pastor Trey Hammond's retirement. And I say sadness because we are all going to miss him. But I'm so glad he's staying in the community, it's staying involved. And I know for me, I remember actually when, it was almost 10 years ago when Trey earned, among other things, the International District Person of the Year in the State Senate. I was honored to give that award on behalf of the district to him. And now as mayor, we continue to work together on all things from homelessness issues to, of course, behavioral health and everything that happens at La Mesa Presbyterian in terms of supporting the community with the pantry and the efforts with the elementary school across the street. The congregation is an amazing congregation, but I also want to acknowledge that the leader of the flock, the shepherd of the flock, if you will, of course, has been Trey. And so, Trey, thank you so much for all you've done for the community, also for all the guidance you've given me personally over the years, and for also trying to stand strong in many ways. When I think about the issues that you've stood up for with Albuquerque Interfaith and others, how important that is and how much I respect it, but also bringing people together, right? So that combination of standing up for your principles, but also making sure that we're not being divisive, and that at some point we have to kind of come together and move forward. And so all of that is wrapped into so much of what you've done. And so I'll miss you in this role, but I'm very excited about the next chapter for you in Albuquerque, and wish you the very, very best, and congratulations on retirement.
Hi, I'm Dennis Plummer, CEO for Heading Home, and I'm very honored today to speak to Trey's immense impact on the homeless community in Albuquerque. Trey was critically essential in 2004 in opening up the Albuquerque Opportunity Center, and throughout the years since has played an integral part of our board of directors, often as the chair, and even when not, as a very active participant in our decision-making processes. Trey's involvement has meant that our small organization from 2004 has grown to a very large, impactful community organization. We work to serve people experiencing homelessness by getting them housing, by doing outreach, and giving them temporary shelter. In all aspects, Trey has been the community organizer of our board of directors, speaking out frequently on behalf of those most in need, and always ever ready to roll up his sleeves and get the work done. From digging trenches in 2003 and 4 in preparation for opening up, to working with city officials and our staff to make sure that Heading Home now provides excellent service, Trey has always been the encourager and the cohort in support of this important work. And personally, Trey has been a mentor for me in how to move through systems, both community, political, spiritual, and social. Trey has been the listening ear and the supportive voice through difficult and challenging decision-making times. So I'm very proud to leave this recorded message honoring Trey on his amazing impact in the community of Albuquerque, and Trey, wishing you an amazing retirement, one that I hope is full of fishing, and I am sure will continue to be full of important impact on our community. Thanks for your partnership. It's meant a lot, and I wish you all the best.
The time has come. You are finally retiring. We're excited for you, happy for you that you get to relax and to enjoy the things that you like. But we feel sad to see you go. You have been a friend for so many years. You have been so supportive of our program, of everything that we do, supportive of our clients, the people that we serve. We truly appreciate you. I remember when I came to work for the Samaritan Counseling Center in 2007. You were there to welcome me and always to support me in everything I did. When I became the director of the center, you were also there to support me in everything, always making sure that we had what we needed to be comfortable at the church. And I am most grateful for when the Samaritan Counseling Center had to close its doors. And we were out of a job, and most importantly, our clients were going to be left out without the services that we were providing for the immigrant families, Spanish-speaking immigrant families. I really saw the support that you always gave us in a very wonderful way. So we all wish you all the best. A lot of wonderful time fishing and everything else that you want to do during your retirement.
Trey, congratulations on your retirement after a career rooted in and dedicated to community. Since I met you when you were working with Albuquerque Interfaith to ensure a community-driven process for Bernalillo County's health initiative, I've been inspired by your passionate leadership and your quiet diplomacy. Your voice carries the weight of experience serving community, and that community has great need, and because of poverty and discrimination, is often ignored. I've seen how you have embodied your faith through empathic listening and through actions that demonstrate your belief that poverty and unmet basic human needs are the root cause of social suffering. You have modeled the importance of staying focused on the systems that perpetuate human suffering while providing direct service. In 2013, when the administration of Governor Martinez took steps to dismantle New Mexico's behavioral health safety net for the poor, you stood up. When the Samaritan Counseling Program was forced to close its doors and the staff at the St. Joseph Center for Children and Families were concerned that their mission would be abandoned, you played a critical role in helping to establish Centro Savila's Hopkins Center and ensure that the services continued. I think what I most appreciate about you, Trey, is the joy that you bring to serving others in our community. Whenever I check in with you, it always cheers me up. I hope we can continue to check in with each other, and I really wish you the best in your next chapter and the adventures to come. And thank you for your great work.
Trey, congratulations on your retirement. It's so fitting that the first day of your retirement is the day that we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the prophet that you have eloquently shared shaped your life and shaped us as a nation. His vision for the beloved community and is really what I have seen your life and your work be all about, shaping the world around you into a place that is is moving towards justice for all and being a beloved community. Trey, your faith, your lifestyle, every aspect of who you are has been about that. I wasn't quite sure how that was all going to fit and how we could quite partner. It just wasn't quite who I was or how I saw myself. But I've come to know you and love you for that. I've grown deeply as you have partnered with me, and we've seen how we can collaborate. So now we're sitting in the La Mesa Neighborhood Community Garden Park. And from those early days when you called me up and asked if we wanted to work together on doing a community garden on this corner lot, our work with Beverly, trying to get the property next door and the city, and we're coming together to organize and plan what this would look like, is just a tangible symbol of your work in this neighborhood. Drawing people together, bringing institutions together, dreaming a little bit larger of how we can create space in a place of beauty and rest and peace for our neighbors. Marrying Morgan and I off the side of the cliff on the mountain 3.5 years ago, thank you for pastoring us and officiating our wedding. We've enjoyed drinking beer with you and looking forward to many more IPAs with you. And Trey, above all, just our friendship. I've appreciated you as a friend. I look forward to our future together, working on other neighborhood issues as you've come on the board of East Central Ministries. Whether we're hiking in the Gila or maybe the Himalayas, you're a friend.
Hey Trey, congratulations, you made it to retirement. But if I know anything about you, I imagine retirement's just a transition into doing things a little differently than you've done them, not giving it all up. You know, I think about all that you've done for La Mesa, for the church, the larger church, for our community. And I have always seen you as a model of what a pastor should be. And I'm grateful to you for showing me how to do that. In many ways, you have been a mentor to me over the years and shown me what it is to be an involved and engaged pastor in the community. But also, you've been so much more than that. You've been a friend and a colleague, and with our time together with the Mountaineers, a brother. And I am grateful to you. You've had a huge impact on me and my life and my ministry. And I know you've had a huge impact on this larger community. And going forward, know that many of us will be trying to continue your work, though it will take much more than just one of us to do the kind of work that you have done here. But thank you for all that you've done. Congratulations on getting here, and best wishes on whatever those next steps look like for you. Love you, man.
Congratulations, Trey, and happy retirement. I want to say thank you for your many years of service as a minister of Word and Sacrament in the Presbyterian Church USA. Thank you for your longtime commitment to the La Mesa neighborhood and to La Mesa Presbyterian Church. Thank you for fighting for social justice here in the city of Albuquerque and across New Mexico. Thank you for being a colleague and a friend. Thank you for saying yes to being a mountaineer and for the many adventures we have had together. I am grateful. I look forward to many more, and I hope your days of retirement are filled with the streams of New Mexico and other lands with your fishing pole in hand. Enjoy. Well done, good and faithful servant.
My name is Kendra Poole, and I have known Trey for about 2 decades now. And my reflections on Trey's contribution to the La Mesa community and to Albuquerque, to the world, and certainly to my own life could fill volumes, but I will try to keep it succinct. So I was about 11 or so when Trey came to La Mesa, just around the time that me and some of my closest friends were joining the youth group. And we were a bit of a motley crew. We were always curious, a little rowdy, always questioning and discerning and full of energy. And Trey was one of the few, if not the only, who could really keep up with us and challenge us in a really positive and life-affirming way. He was always exposing us to new ideas, everything from the writings of Dietrich Bonhoeffer to Wayne's World, which we watched a number of times, as you'll remember, Trey. And one of the highlights, I think, of that period of time was our summer trips to Trey's family's cabin up in Colorado. It was lots of time to adventure outdoors and engage in, really philosophical and theological discussions for, a crew of 13-year-olds. And so one thing I also always think of when I think about Trey is as we navigated, we being the youth group, the young people with whom I formed my identity, as we navigated not just our spiritual lives, but also just the world, we had questions and concerns and frustrations. We were human in our responses to learning about things in human history, especially. And one thing about Trey is that he always listened to us. He always respected our points of view, even as young people. He didn't dismiss us just because we did have a degree of naivete. And one story that we still tell to this day, decades later, is the story of when Trey responded to some of our frustrations about the church's doctrine with an invitation to march into church carrying a giant white wooden door, the Wittenberg door. And in church, during one of the children's sermons, he allowed us to write out our own theses, so to speak, and nail it to the proverbial door. And it was such a significant expression of respect to us that it really helped us engage with the church in a way that I think we couldn't have without him and his leadership.
If it weren't for Trey Hammond, I never would have come to La Mesa. I never would have hung around just because he'd let me. I never would have been baptized. I never would have joined. And I certainly never would have been an elder, at least not one with a capital E. But none of that would have happened if it hadn't been for Albuquerque Interfaith. And I'm certain that I would not have become so committed to our church if it hadn't been for Trey's leadership in Albuquerque Interfaith for these past 20 years. Now, when Trey first came to Albuquerque, he already was an expert and a leader in the field of community organizing. He'd done it in seminary, he'd done it for the national denomination, he'd already knew the field. So it wasn't surprising that Trey joined in and led 2 early fights that Albuquerque Interfaith was involved in. One to protect early childhood centers, including the one here at La Mesa, when the mayor at the time wanted to cut their budget, and another to stop the mayor from filling a budget gap by cutting the salaries of blue-collar workers. And that was really where Trey and Albuquerque Interfaith cut their teeth together in working to build a better city. And there are a couple of things about that matter. One is that Trey, throughout that time, has showed up. It's not easy being a pastor. Any pastor in this city can tell you how many competing demands they have to manage. And Trey has been, not only has managed the demands of regular pastors, but he's even taken on more. And you can see how it's different because of Albuquerque Interfaith and because of Trey. You look at the school across the street, and it is in a better building because of Albuquerque Interfaith that was passed in a county tax election with the support and effort of Albuquerque Interfaith and the commitment of Trey Hammond to working to make that happen. On behalf of Albuquerque Interfaith, Trey, on behalf of the city of Albuquerque, you have truly followed Jeremiah in seeking the welfare of the city. And in doing so, we have found our own.
Hi, everybody. My name is Aura Cabal, principal here at La Mesa Elementary.
And my name is Trey Bates. I'm the assistant principal at La Mesa Elementary.
And I wanted to let you guys know that I have known Trey for over 20 years, since I was here, a bilingual teacher at La Mesa Elementary. But it wasn't until 4 years ago that I became principal, and I had the pleasure of working with him ever since, very close. And I'm very lucky, to tell you the truth, because he has been a great support for us here at La Mesa and the community. Him walking into the office, saying hi and welcoming, it feels so great, like being at home. And knowing that he's across the street, it's awesome too, because I know that if I need anything, I can just cross the street and I'll have a friend right there to support us.
The first time I met Trey was at Education Sunday, and that was right after I came. So I was brand new to La Mesa, and I couldn't believe the fact that he had his Sunday school class there that just wanted to hear from our principal, and the amount of caring that shows, and just real true interest in what's going on here. Well, principals come and go, but for 20 years, this man has been advocating not just for the families, for the students, for the community as a whole, but just the way he sticks up for the school. And one time he told me, and I was thrilled to hear this, that when he felt something was wrong or needed help, that he took himself over to the towers and knocked on the door of the superintendent of APS and had an audience with her and told her his issues and his concerns. And to have somebody in your community that cares so much to go that far, I don't know if I should say this or not, but one time Ms. Akabal said he has been a loud voice and advocate for our school, and I'm so grateful for that. So Trey, we want to thank you for the Education Sundays where you affirm and support teachers. That really hit home with me the first time I heard it, especially after hard things teachers in this state had been through in previous years of just constant attack from everybody about how they do their jobs. To walk into a place and hear somebody say affirming words that were so true, I don't think you'll ever know how much that means to teachers, and it meant that much to me too.
We're going to continue the partnership with the La Mesa Presbyterian Church, but please don't forget us. You know, we're going to be here. You're always welcome. Everybody is always welcome. Thank you for everything that you do. We really have no words, no other words to say thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Trey. We love you.
We love you. Bye.